Welcome to Elevation Nation with your hosts Sam Panich and Parker Yablon. Elevation Nation is a community focused on bringing together young adults who are elevating themselves and others every day. Each week, we welcome a new elevator to share their story and experiences to help you conquer the real world. What's up, Elevation Nation? We're back for another amazing conversation. This elevator today, we met actually 6 months ago, and it just so happened that we had to push this one, then push it and push it, but we're finally able to have Louisa Li on the podcast. And Sam and I are just so excited. When I met Louisa back in May, it was like she just gets it. She gets the elevator mindset. She's just absolutely grinding. She also understands our world in consulting too. So that's another plus. And she has just been an incredible person in the community building space, something that Sam and I are very inspired to get into. So we're up for a great conversation. Louisa, welcome to Elevation Nation. We're grateful to have you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here and chat it up with a few fellow consultants. Share some of the insights that I have on community building.
I know Parker said, obviously, we had this, we rescheduled it again. Parker was late. Sometimes the universe works in beautiful ways, because today, Parker and I literally made a pact manifesto that the next part of Elevation Nation that we are going all in on is building a community, or attempting to build a community. I know it's not as easy as just building one. And so what beautiful timing for us to chat with you and get inspired by the communities that you've built, a word that gets thrown around a lot. So I want to be careful with it, because you actually have built a community, and we're going to get all into that in a bit. But before we get started, I'm going to throw this back to your old consulting days. Sorry to trigger you potentially. This is Elevation Nation. So we ask every single guest on the podcast for an elevator pitch. Who are you?
Wow. Okay. My professional career actually was in management consulting. So I spent my early career in financial services at EY, go black and yellow. And then switched over to BCG about 5.5 years ago. And so I've was there for the rest of my career in corporate, working with, corporate or Fortune 500 companies, solving all types of business problems, and mostly in the financial tech space. So basically as corporate as it gets. In November of 2023, or I guess in 2023, I had this moment where I decided I wanted to do something different with my life and really take a break from corporate and try something completely different. So I decided to leave BCG. I went to Bali, got my yoga teacher certification, and now I run a wellness community for early stage founders called Shanti House, which brings founders together outside of the traditional networking space to connect and recover and do things that are benefiting their personal well-being. That's kind of like where we are now, and we have lots of exciting plans for where we're going to take it.
I know, we were just talking about it right before we hit record, so we'll obviously get into that a bit. I'm curious, Louisa, as someone who's in the corporate world, and you took that big leap. Sam and I have not taken that big leap of faith.
Yes.
Took that leap, you went to Bali, you got the certification, but was there like an oh shit moment that you could walk us through, like while you were still at corporate, that was like, I have to go do this. This is my journey. This is the life that I was supposed to be living.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely moments in my career where I questioned, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? I grew up very traditional upbringing. Both of my parents are immigrants, and came to America with like nothing in their pockets, and really came here for the American dream and sacrificed everything so that we could, live the American dream. And so for me, success and and like expectations were kind of already set in stone for me. What's like from what school I went to what career path I chose. And so for me, I never really thought about, should I be doing something outside of the norm? I was kind of just like, I'm following this path that I, thought that I was supposed to be following. In 2023, I had kind of gone through somewhat of a spiritual awakening where I started to really dive into more of my own internal mindfulness and asked all these questions of like, is this what I want to do? Like, what is my purpose in life? Like the very standard kind of existential questions that people kind of go through at some point in their life. And for me, I think I was in Australia on a project. It was like 2 a.m. I was working a deck, and it was like a footnote in a slide in the appendix. And I was like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that was kind of the aha moment. And I think from then I kind of told myself I would at least give it a shot to explore something else outside of the consulting world and see if, maybe there's something else out there that I felt was more aligned to my personal values and what I really wanted to bring into this world. I guess that was like the aha moment, but I had been thinking about it for a while through my own spiritual journey, that I was going through in my personal life.
So I have to ask you, as someone who did take the leap, because Parker and I haven't yet, I'm adding that part. How does it feel to be aligned with your heart, your soul, your mind, and your business? Like, what an incredible blessing that many people either don't choose to do, don't get the opportunity to do. Obviously, it takes a heck of a lot of work, and I don't want to discount that. But now that so many of the things in your life are aligned on one path, how do you feel? I'm sure you're waking up every day probably inspired to work and not work on footnotes and decks.
Yes. Well, that was the biggest thing, is that I don't feel like I'm doing work. And I truly have never felt happier in my life. And I think so much of that is that alignment of doing things that, one, that I feel like I'm good at, right? Like I feel like I'm actually providing value. I felt that way in consulting. So like that piece was always there, but I think the impact of what I was doing was off from what I really wanted to be doing. I feel like there's so much help out there already for these billion-dollar banks or these, global organizations. And where people needed the most help was at like the emerging stage of like getting from 0 to 1, like these emerging entrepreneurs that might not have had the experience that I had when it comes to like business and management consulting, and helping them actually scale their businesses that are actually impacting people's lives on a very tactical and tangible level. And so, from that standpoint, like it didn't really feel like work. Like right now, I'm helping a founder right now scale a web browser that is essentially like a curation platform for people that want to get recommendations from people that like their friends or like real people, instead of just like algorithms and sponsored ads on Google. And I absolutely love what he's building. I love his mission. I love his vision and like what his eye for everything. So when we're working together, it feels like I'm just like brainstorming with a friend and doing, just like shooting the shit essentially with like a friend and helping him bring his idea to life, versus it being like, oh, something that I have to wake up and like set, do and like go to these meetings and like begrudgingly like put together materials for. It just feels really, really different. And so like I would say I'm working probably more hours than I was in my BCG days, which is a bit crazy because I was working crazy hours then. But I feel so much more energized and alive and like truly feeling like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's really cool to hear like you talk through it, because I feel like we're all on that journey to find what that thing is. And it changes with time, right? There are times, and Sam and I go back, we've been at EY our entire career. We're on year 8 now. Like there are years where I go to Sam like, dude, I am so fulfilled. We get Elevation Nation.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing cool stuff at EY, and it ebbs and flows, right? And that's entrepreneurship in general, right? Elevation Nation, we come off a speaking gig and we're like, dude, this is our calling. We got to do so many more of these. The podcast, we're meeting so many incredible people. And then you're like, oh, wait, damn, this thing comes up and you're like, oh, but you get through, you push through those hard moments, those challenges because
Yeah,
you're so aligned to that purpose. So,
exactly.
Louisa, with Shanti House, like, talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing, how you're building community, and why so many people feel, I guess, close to the mission that you guys have.
Yeah. Um, I started Shanti House really by accident. For me, when I left corporate, I had zero network outside of like finance executives. And so I had to basically start my network from scratch. And I knew because I wanted to jump over into the startup ecosystem that I had to really put myself out there to meet founders. And so I was going to all these startup founder events, meeting early stage founders, and I realized that they were all kind of the same format. There were a lot of happy hours, a lot of like panels, a lot of like 300-person pitch events where like random people are throwing business cards at you. And I just really didn't see anything that was centered around wellness, or mindfulness or like anything in that realm. And it was interesting and ironic to me because I was thinking that founders work so hard that they're the ones that actually need these modalities the most, like these outlets to calm their nervous system or to like really get more clarity and resiliency in their businesses. But instead they were like going to these happy hours and drinking and eating pizza. And it just felt like to me like something was missing. And so I decided to bring founders together. I had my yoga teacher certification. So I started to bring founders together to do yoga. And at first it was just a few founders like in my living room, and we do some stuff outdoors in the summer. And then what felt like overnight, it just grew very, very quickly. And I think it was a testament to how much people were craving something outside of the traditional networking happy hour, and looking for something where one, more casual, two, good for their health, and three, that they could actually be themselves in like a more authentic way and build real connections and relationships outside of just the bar scene. So we've now since our launch in April of 2024, we've hosted over 150 events. Some of them ranging to like 200 plus people. We've brought together close to 3,000 founders now, and partnered with over 100 brands. So it's been definitely a really, really crazy journey. And I would say all of it started really serendipitously because I just wanted to do something that aligned to who I was and bring my practice to this community of founders that I felt really needed it the most.
It's so beautiful that this happened a little bit by happenstance.
Yeah.
Very similar to why Parker and I started Elevation Nation. We just wanted to talk to people that had their shit together because we were feeling so bleak ourselves. And now it's
Mhm.
led to this beautiful passion project. And similarly for you. And sometimes, like I said at the beginning, the universe works in mysterious ways and we get to trust it. And how grateful and amazing that we all got to connect now because of our two different missions. I want to hit on, though, a phrase, Louisa, you said, where folks get to be their authentic selves. So I'm going to pitch you on something that Parker and I have been preaching across the globe as we speak for Elevation Nation. We, as you know, are in consulting and all we hear about is AI. AI this, AI that. It's coming for everything that we do. And so we have created our own version of AI that we call authentic intelligence. It's the
Mhm.
ability to know who you are yourself, the moments. So similar to when you guys get to all meet up in person, whether it's for yoga or cold plunge, the moments where you can be authentically yourself and the messages of how you are able to communicate together. And so that's really what we've been trying to build at Elevation Nation as the world around us seems to be getting so inauthentic, so automated. And it kind of sounds like this resonates with the other founder you were mentioning with his actual human-based recommendations.
Yeah.
We want authentic human connection. The weird, the quirkiness about it, about you, we want it all. And so that's really now, ironically enough, what we're going out to teach to schools, to corporations, to camps is how do you teach this new generation that grew up in a very algorithmic based, social media faced, inauthentic world and teach them to be proud of who they are at their core. And so I'm just excited that you guys are doing the same thing with your mission.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the pendulum always swings back, I think is what I've been saying right now to a lot of these communities that are really building in AI and seeing this like AI slop everywhere, and just how much of the world that you're like on the internet, what you can't even trust anymore. And just like the doom scrolling, like there's just, I don't get me wrong, I'm not like anti AI or like anti technology. Like I think it's an incredibly useful tool. I use Chat GPT almost every day. But I think it's never going to replace real community. And with all of the things that are happening, I think the pendulum is going to swing back, and humans are going to want to live in a world where it's not just so like digitized and people are glued to their phones and everything is written by ChatGPT and you can't trust anything online. Like people are really going to want to find community and find connections and find friendships and relationships that are offline. And I see that, you know, in Shanti House, what we've built with Shanti House, but also seeing that in a lot of the physical third spaces that are popping up across New York City. And that's really why we decided to join ventures with Founders Common to create this physical space, because we want people to come to a home or their third space and actually get away from like just sitting behind their laptops in their kitchen, you know, all day long, and actually get to connect with other people, because that's what humans are really craving now in this age of AI.
Humans are like relationship beings. We all want to be surrounded by others. And although we think that we're connected when we look at the phone, it's the complete opposite. I
Mm-hmm.
feel empty. A lot of the times I'm like just doom scrolling or whatnot. I just think it's
Yeah.
incredible. Sam and I are so like inspired by what you're doing, especially because you're going out and making it happen. Like you said, you've welcomed thousands of people into your community. You've hosted hundreds of events. You've worked with brands who are aligned with your mission. I'd love to hear it. I'm curious because we're, at the start of being able to bring together people as well in physical spaces. What does community, like a flourishing community, look like to you?
Yeah, Sam and I were actually just talking about this before. Like community gets thrown around so much, and now like, brands will say, "Oh, we have this community." It's like just because they have 100,000 followers on Instagram, that does not equate to a community. And I think what's really special about community is that it one kind of runs on its own, right? It's not like there's if I decided to leave Shanti House one day, like the community itself will still be there. The community itself will still flourish because it's built on the relationships that are made within itself, not by one single person or, someone that's being idolized or followed. And I think the other thing that really connects community is this commonality between everyone. I think that's why Shanti House has been so special, is because it's not only bringing together early stage founders that are going through the same journey when it comes to building and going through the same challenges and daily like decision making, but they're also really into wellness and into bettering themselves on a personal level. And so because of that, it's almost like you're connected doubly, like you're professionally, you're in the same boat. You can kind of relate to each other because you're building in the same stage. But on a personal level, you're also really aligned in terms of your values. Like people in our community don't really drink. They are very, very conscious about consumption, like what they put in their bodies, where they spend their energy, where they spend their time. And they're just kind, right? Like they're really, really kind and supportive and want to help each other. And so when we do the vetting process for members in our community, we make sure that when we're talking to potential members, that they meet these values and that they really embody like what our community is about. And I think that's the key to building community versus it just being like anyone can come in and um and it can be like whatever whatever values, it doesn't matter. Like I think we have very strong values in our community, and our community members find that the others members in our community share those same values, and that's really what brings them together.
And are those values are defined? Like when you join, you know what those principles and values are, or you think it's just like a collective understanding?
I think it's a little bit of both. So right now, as we've been interviewing founders for our physical space, we have a bit of a criteria in terms of what stage they are in their business. So early stage entrepreneurs is very broad, right? And I think what we found is that it could be anywhere from ideation to, they just raised their funding, which in that time period is so massive, like the types of things they go through on a daily basis. So our criteria for our founders house is that they have to be past ideation phase and actually be generating some revenue. They also have to be building a business that's VC backable or scalable. We've had amazing founders come through that are building like small businesses, maybe brick and mortar, and it's a completely different ball game than building like a startup that's like hopes to become the next unicorn. And so those types of things, like we're really strict about when it comes to like the criteria. And then we also interview every single applicant. So we make sure we get face to face with them, because there's so much about someone that you just get from their energy and their vibe. And like within the first like 20 seconds of meeting someone, you can tell, is this person kind? Is this person like going to be, giving to this community as well, not just like taking or looking for, their next lead, or looking for like some business opportunities, right? And so I think the criteria, some of it is like hard criteria, right, where it's like defined, but some of it is kind of just like a vibe check where you kind of can sense somebody's energy, and then that energy really flows through the frequency of the entire community.
I think that makes a heck of a lot of sense. And as Parker and I continue to have conversations with people, it's very similar, right? We get introduced to a lot of folks that want to come on the podcast, and of course we would love to have everyone, but we also are trying to build a nation based on people that will go out and help each other. And so it totally resonates with me. I was curious, in this very cutthroat world of entrepreneurship, it seems as though so many more entrepreneurs are now moving towards giving back, helping each other, health and wellness, taking care of themselves. Like
Mm-hmm.
your community, I think probably 10, 15 years ago would have been taboo, perhaps.
Yeah.
Now I would say it is becoming more normal. Why do you think there is a trend for entrepreneurs moving towards this wellness kind of thoughtfulness space?
Oh, I love this question because there's so much to this. I think on one end, there's a scientific element of this where historically, a lot of these practices were considered woo-woo, right? Where it's like, oh, breath work or meditation, that's all just kind of like woo-woo stuff. Now there's actually tons of academic articles and studies that are showing the benefits of these practices on your physiology, and they do and they've been publishing much more, a lot more papers and research on this. So it's giving what has historically been very like woo woo and like out there some credibility from a very academic and scientific standpoint. So I think that's one. And then I think too, there's just been a lot more openness and vulnerability in the space by some leaders. You see like celebrities now really preaching about mental health, whereas to your point, Sam, a decade ago, mental health was kind of taboo to talk about. And you never would say that you're like going through mental health stuff at work, because God forbid your boss finds out and your, job might be at jeopardy. Now it's a lot more common and actually promoted within even the corporate space, right? Where I'm sure EY has programs now for like specific mental health or just general health benefits. And so I think there's a lot more that has been coming out because of that. And then there's also just this trend, I think, maybe it's the younger generation too, where people are just much more conscious about their health and not drinking as much. And so they're trading the bars for run clubs or for cold plunges and, not going out and partying until 3 a.m. and being hungover the next day. I think specifically for founders, why they are much more attuned to the physical health is because they kind of have to. They're working like 24 hours a day, and they're realizing that they cannot bring their best selves forward or scale their businesses if they themselves don't feel good. And so they're realizing that there's a very strong correlation between their performative health and also, or performance health and also their business. And so they're realizing that, in order to actually be there for my team, to really scale this business, to show up for my investors and shareholders, I really have to actually first work on myself.
And it's incredible that you're bringing people together who are so aligned. I mean, talk about principles, values, think about so much you can learn from others, or maybe someone who wants to try new practices. And then to your point, you have other people in your community. Hey, like, this is how I approach this. And then you could turn to the other way. Wait, actually, I approach it this way. But like, we're all trying to get to a common goal here, which is move forward, both in the physical self or the business, just being better humans. I think it's incredible. It's awesome. I know we have a couple minutes left, but I wanted to ask a question. Is there any specific story that you wanted to highlight of a member of Shanti House that just like hits so hard at home, like the impact that it's had on a founder or maybe yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many great moments in the Shanti House journey that have really just like lit me up and pushed me forward in building this. There was one event that we had very, very early on in the Shanti House journey, where we bring women together. It was a women's founder event. And we had a founder that was a dietitian, and she was building out her nutrition program company. And she had come to the event, and she had such a great time. I didn't talk to her for a few weeks after that. And then a few months later, I hear from the sponsor of that event. The sponsor of the event is there were two founders of this hormonal health company called Muse. She ended up messaging me and saying, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, I met the founders of Muse at your event that I came to, and I wasn't going to come that day because I was feeling really like crappy, and I didn't really feel like I had the energy to socialize, but I came and I showed up and I did this yoga class for myself, and I met them, and I actually just signed an offer to join their team." And those types of stories like just really, really, really light me up, because it makes me feel like it's not just about, obviously it's the health aspect of it too, like her coming and showing up for herself, but then her also just like finding like business opportunities and life-changing opportunities through the community very, very serendipitously, right? Like there was no force of me like forcing that introduction or like creating like note cards for people to like force each other. It was really just her coming out of her own shell, deciding to show up and deciding to put herself out there and then make this connection. And now she works for the company. And so that stuff has at the beginning would kind of happen sporadically. Then towards the end, like, I mean, last few months, like that happens all the time, where I'll get like a tag on Instagram where I'll be like, "Thanks for the connection, Shanti House," and like see people collaborating and see people like working together. And it's just, yeah, it's just amazing, I think, to see that and the level of impact that they're all making. Like these founders that are really building in like the women's hormonal health space, that are collaborating with other women that are also building in the women's health space. It's just, you see that like multiplier and the force just like growing bigger and bigger. And it's all through just collaboration and people putting themselves out there.
Your community is working.
I
It's
hope
doing its
so.
thing. It's running. You're meeting people, and it goes back to kind of your definition of community, right? You didn't have to make these intros. You didn't have to force these two people together and say, "Cheers, let's drink a beer," right? Like everyone is meeting themselves beautifully and organically through the space, the safe place that you are making for people, all around a common mission or theme. And so I just want to give you so much credit and kudos. I'm going to bring us into our last segment here, which is our rapid fire section. We have a couple quick hitting questions for you before we let you go. Now, I was just mentioning how I was out in LA doing a ton of mindset and wellness activities out there. I live in DC, so we don't have as many. And I know you guys are working on your own physical space in New York. But when I go visit Parker in New York City, do you have any secret or hidden health and wellness spots, gems, routines, places that you try to bring some of your friends to go reset their mind a little bit?
Yeah, there are a few in the city that some actually my friends run, and others that are just I personally go to all the time because I think they're amazing establishments. On the bathhouse side, I think Othership has done an incredible job bringing true community together. Robbie, the founder, the CEO of Othership, is absolutely amazing in community building. It's like he really represents like what true authentic community building is. Like there is a 300 plus person WhatsApp group for those that go to Othership frequently, and he's texting in it every single day and trying to understand like what do we want, like how should we be positioning the lockers in our new space. Like he really just wants to listen to everyone, and I think that's really special. So I love Othership. I love what they're all about. Really building community. There's a ton of yoga studios that I love as well. So there's one called Sui Yoga in Soho that has a Himalayan salt wall, and it's very, very healing. Sky Teen Yoga is another one of my favorites, run by Chrissy Jones. She's done an amazing job with the brand and really building out this warm, what feels like family every time you go to one of her classes. So I highly recommend that. And then, yeah, ID yoga is another one. It's a hot yoga class. And what I love about ID is that they're kind of like misfits almost. Like their branding is very edgy and they're very inclusive, and their whole ethos is really like, it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or what you're doing, like in here in this yoga studio together, like we are family. And I absolutely love that community that they've built.
I love the Rex. I'm sure you have like a whole list of just places and places and places to go. Maybe you need to
Yes.
build your own recommendations app or something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Well, and it's soon to be Founders House in Q1 of 2026. We'll be on
There
that
we
list.
go. I love the plug. My rapid fire for you is you obviously have held, to your point, what'd you say? Thousands of events, hundreds of events. I don't even remember this one. A lot of events.
A lot
What
of events.
is your go-to ritual before you host a large event?
Oh, see, I think this is the consulting in me. I put together like a notes page, and I put together like the run of show, but also like what is like the goal of this, and like how would I walk away feeling like this was a successful event. I always want to have that in my mind before I go into it, because every event is very different. The demographic is sometimes different. The content programming is always different. So I always try to think about what do I want the guests to walk away from this event feeling and having. So I do that before every single event. And yeah, I think also just like mindfulness stuff, like manifesting what the event's going to look like, what the event is going to feel like when we're there, when we're done, when we're wrapping up. And that kind of like visualization, manifestation helps a lot.
I love both those answers because I get to see both of your personalities of like your
Yes.
type A consultant and then your type B like yogi mindset are
Yeah.
both like, all right, I need both of these things to make me feel good going into an event.
Yes.
That is like
That is
so
me in a
perfect.
nutshell. That's literally
I
me in a
love it. I love it. Louisa, our final question. So Parker and I have welcomed over 250 elevators into the nation via the podcast and thousands of other young people across the globe through our workshops and speaking. And we unite every single one of them through something we call a mental motto. It's a phrase, a quote, a slogan that embodies who you are at your core and how you go about living your life. So we want to know, what is your mental motto?
Oh, there's so many, but if I had to choose one, I think, and this is really representative of my entire journey as an entrepreneur, is just take the first step, and everything else is figure outable.
Feel like you're preaching to us a little bit here. I'm taking that to heart. I love it. Thank you. That is beautiful.
Got to take that first step and then figure it out along the way.
Yeah, I mean,
love
even
it.
on this journey right now with the space, like we have no commercial real estate experience. We have no brick, like membership, like physical membership experience. But my co-founder and I just launched it. We announced it, and now we're just taking the leap of faith and we're doing it. And we're figuring out every single day, learning new things, and you just figure it out. Like nothing is not figure outable. So just take that first step.
That's life. That's like, it's great. I mean, it's just got to figure it out. No one's experienced this moment that's coming ever before. And yes, when we make big decisions, it's like, okay, let's just go. Let's figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
Louisa, hell of a conversation. I think Sam and I are very inspired, and we feel ready to go to take that first step as we start to build out our physical community. Just appreciate you spend time with us, educating not only Sam and myself, but Elevation Nation, our listeners, around what you're doing with Shanti House, all the other incredible ventures you're doing. And I think you're an inspiring person because you're someone who is doing something that is aligned with their purpose and is continuing to make an impact in the world. And so I just want to say thank you on behalf of Sam, myself, Elevation Nation. It's great. We're so happy to have had you on.
Yeah, thank you guys. No, truly love what you guys are building, and so happy to be part of this, the part of the family, and help support in any way I can. It was such a great conversation. So thanks for having me.
Until next week, Elevation Nation. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Elevation Nation. If you enjoyed our conversation, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we release a new episode. If you would like to join Elevation Nation or get more information about the nation, please visit our website at www.elevationnation.io. Until next week, Elevation Nation, peace.